The Montana morning mist clung to Wade Thompson's boots as he walked the fence line of his property, his German Shepherd Rex trotting beside him. At 65, Wade still moved with the fluid precision of a much younger man, his eyes constantly scanning the horizon. Old habits from 3 decades as a Delta Force operator never died. Something felt wrong. The tire tracks in the soft earth weren't from any local vehicle he recognized. Too wide, too deep, and the tread pattern was expensive. Military grade, maybe Cartel. Sarah Mitchell pulled up in her weathered pickup truck, her face tight with, "Worry, Wade, thank God you're here. Did you hear about the Henderson farm?" Wade straightened, brushing dirt from his worn jeans. "What about them?" "Gone. Packed up and left in the middle of the night. No warning, nothing." Sarah's knuckles were white as she gripped the steering wheel. "This morning I saw men at their place. Big black SUVs, guys who definitely aren't from around here." Wade's tactical mind immediately started processing threat assessments. "Cartel?" Sarah nodded grimly. "That's what people in town are saying. They've been moving north from Mexico, buying up properties. Those who won't sell." She shuddered. "Well, let's just say they find other ways to convince people." The pieces clicked together in Wade's mind like a well-oiled weapon. Remote location, legitimate cover for operations, existing infrastructure. It was a textbook staging area for drug distribution. His properties sat at a crucial junction, controlling the main road and overlooking 3 different approach routes. No wonder they wanted it. "Have they approached you yet?" Wade asked, though he already suspected the answer. "Not directly. But Miller's place went up for sale last week. Same story, mysterious buyers, cash offer, too good to refuse. Those who stick around say they're using the farms as distribution hubs." Sarah leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Wade, these aren't ordinary criminals. They're organized, well-funded, and the sheriff's completely out of his depth." After Sarah left, Wade walked to his barn with Rex at his side. To anyone watching, he looked like a simple farmer checking on equipment. But beneath the hay bales and farming tools lay something the cartels would never expect. A hidden cellar he'd installed when he first bought the property. His friends had called it paranoia. Wade called it preparation. The false floorboard, lifted to reveal military-grade communications equipment, weapons and tactical gear he'd hoped never to use again. His fingers traced over the equipment with muscle memory from countless classified missions in places that didn't officially exist. His phone buzzed. A text from an old contact in law enforcement. "Cartel moving fast in your area. 7 properties. Taken this month. Watch your back. Marcus." Through the barn window, Wade spotted 3 black SUVs rolling slowly past his gate. They weren't being subtle anymore. This was reconnaissance, marking their next target. Rex growled softly, sensing his master's tension. Wade scratched the dog's ears thoughtfully. "They don't know what they're walking into, do they, boy?" He spent the rest of the morning making calls to old teammates, men who'd fought beside him, in operations that would never see the light of day. His call sign had been Phantom, and for good reason. When Delta Force needed someone to disappear into enemy territory and accomplish the impossible, they called Wade Thompson. "Knox, it's Phantom. Remember that favor you owe me? Time to collect." The gruff voice on the other end chuckled. "Wade, been a long time. How bad is it? Cartels moving into the valley, taking farms, setting up distribution networks. They'll be knocking on my door soon." A low whistle. "Need some backup? Might not hurt. To have the old team together again. One last mission. You know we're not as young as we used to be." Wade smiled grimly, watching another SUV cruise past his property. Neither are they. Call the others. By afternoon, his plans were in motion. 4 of his old teammates were already en route. Knox, Raven Winters, their sniper, Marcus Blast Rodriguez, demolitions expert, Tyler Ghost Voss, communications specialist, and Nathan Kestrel Davis, their medic. Together, they'd faced down warlords, terrorists and armies. A cartel wouldn't know what hit them. As the sun began to set behind the Montana mountains, Wade walked his property one more time, but now he wasn't seeing it as a farmer. He was analyzing it as a battlefield commander. Every hill, every tree line, every approach could be used to his advantage. The cartel thought they were targeting an old man's farm. Instead, they were walking into a kill zone designed by one of the most experienced special operations commanders. In military history, Rex barked suddenly, alerting Wade to approaching vehicles. The same SUVs from earlier, but this time they were stopping at his gate. Wade straightened his shoulders, adjusted his worn baseball cap, and prepared to play the role of a simple farmer. Let them think he was harmless. Let them underestimate him. It was a mistake they would only make once. First, Contact 5 men emerged from the SUVs, their expensive suits completely out of place against the rugged Montana landscape. Wade counted 2 more staying with the vehicles, hands positioned near concealed weapons. Rex growled softly beside him, but a gentle touch from Wade kept the dog quiet. Felix Rodriguez led the group, his polished boots crunching on gravel as he approached. His smile was practiced and professional, but his eyes were cold as winter steel. "Mr. Thompson, beautiful property you have here." Felix extended his hand. Wade took it, noting the man's grip. Too firm, trying to establish dominance. Amateur intimidation tactics. "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" While maintaining his friendly farmer facade, Wade's tactical mind was cataloguing every detail. 2 men moving toward his barn, trying to be subtle about checking his security. 1 by the gate with a radio. Military training but sloppy execution. They'd grown comfortable terrorizing civilians. "We represent an investment group," Felix said, gesturing toward the valley. "We've been acquiring properties in the area, expanding our operations. Your land has certain features that interest us." Wade leaned against his fence post, the picture of casual relaxation. Inside, he was marking fields of fire and noting their positions. "Not interested in selling." "Land's been in my family too long." Felix's practiced smile tightened. "Perhaps I wasn't clear. We're prepared to offer significantly above market value, 3 million cash, more than generous for a ranch this size." Wade scratched Rex behind the ears, buying time to observe the 2 men by his barn. They were checking sightlines and defensive positions, not the behavior of real estate investors. This was an advanced team mapping the property for an assault. "Money isn't everything," Wade replied simply. "Some things aren't for sale." The friendly facade cracked slightly. Felix stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Mr. Thompson, let me be direct. This valley is changing. You can be part of that change and profit from it. Or you might find this valley becoming very unwelcoming. Accidents happen, especially to stubborn old men who don't know when to take a good deal." Wade's voice remained calm, even as he noted the subtle shift in the men's positions. "Standard intimidation formation." "Sounds like a threat, Mr. Rodriguez." Felix's eyes widened slightly at the use of his real name, a name Wade shouldn't have known. It was a calculated slip, letting them know he wasn't as ignorant as he appeared. Simply stating facts, Felix recovered. Quickly. "The valley is changing. Fighting it would be unwise," one of the men by the barn called out in Spanish, commenting on security cameras. Wade had let them spot the obvious ones while keeping his real surveillance system carefully hidden. "Think about it," Felix said, producing a business card with a fake company name. "You have 24 hours. After that, the offer becomes significantly less generous." Wade took the card, studying the man's face. "I'll sleep on it. See that you do." Felix turned to leave, then paused. "Beautiful dog. German shepherd, yes. Would be a shame if something happened to him." Rex growled, picking up on Wade's tension. Wade kept his hand gentle on the dog's head, but his voice carried the weight of 3 decades of combat experience. That would be a very serious mistake. Something in his tone made Felix hesitate, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. For just a moment, the mask slipped and Wade saw genuine surprise. They had expected an easy mark, a simple farmer they could bully or buy. Instead, they'd caught a glimpse of something else, something that set off warning bells in anyone with combat experience. As the cartel men retreated to their vehicles, Wade watched them drive away, already planning his next moves. His phone buzzed with a text from Knox. 4 hours out. "Team assembled," Wade typed back. "Make it 3. Company's already knocking. Inside his house, Wade activated his real security system. Cameras hidden in trees covered every approach, motion sensors monitored the perimeter, and everything fed into a command center he'd built in his basement, a holdover from years of planning for worst-case scenarios. He pulled up satellite images of the valley, marking known cartel properties. 7 farms taken in the last month, each one strategically valuable. His land was the missing piece, controlling the main valley access point and providing clear lines of sight for miles. His phone rang. Sarah, her voice tight with worry. "Wait, they were at your place, weren't they? I saw the SUVs, just a friendly business proposition," Wade replied, checking his weapons cache. "Nothing to worry about. Don't lie to me." Miller tried to stand up to them. Next day, his barn burned down. Day after that, his wife's car crashed on a straight road. No witnesses. Sarah, listen carefully. Next few days, stay with your sister in Missoula. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Wade, what are you planning? Better you don't know. Just trust me. After hanging up, Wade descended into his cellar. The hidden room was exactly as he'd left it. Weapons and equipment maintained and ready. He began checking each piece methodically, muscle memory taking over as he field-stripped and reassembled. Rifles. Rex whined softly from above. Wade paused, listening. Another vehicle approaching. Different engine sound. He checked the cameras, local sheriff's department. Deputy Mike Hayes, young and out of his depth, but honest. Wade met him at the gate. Hayes looked nervous, shuffling his feet. "Mr. Thompson heard you had visitors today. Word travels fast around here. That it does." "Listen, about the others. Miller, the Hendersons. We know what happened, but we can't prove anything. These people, they're connected. Evidence disappears. Witnesses change their stories." Wade nodded. "And you're here to advise me to take the deal?" Hayes looked ashamed. "They own half the valley already. Fighting them." "It's suicide. Appreciate the warning, Deputy, but I can handle myself." As Hayes drove away, Wade's phone chimed with a message from Tyler. "Intercepted their comms. Full assault planned. They're not waiting 24 hours?" Smiled grimly. "Perfect. Let them come in force. Let them think they had the advantage." 3 decades of combat experience had taught him that overconfident enemies made fatal mistakes. He had 3 hours until his team arrived. 3 hours to turn his farm into a fortress. The cartel thought they were dealing with a stubborn old man. By morning, they'd realize their mistake. But by then, it would be far too late. The team assembles, The sound of engines echoing through the valley caught Wade's attention just as the Montana sun dipped below the horizon. Through his security feeds, he watched 4 vehicles approaching from different directions, his team using old tactics to avoid being tracked together. Knox's black pickup came first, followed by Marcus in a weathered Jeep. Tyler and Nathan arrived minutes later, their vehicles covered in dust from back-road driving. 20 years melted away as Wade met them in the barn, away from prying eyes. Knox Raven Winters stepped out carrying his custom rifle case like it was part of him. At 58, the former sniper still moved with deadly precision, his weathered face scanning the property with professional interest. Marcus Blast Rodriguez brought enough carefully concealed explosives to level a small town, all hidden in construction equipment cases. His demolitions expertise had saved their lives more times than Wade could count. Tyler Ghost Voss looked like a civilian electronics enthusiast, but his communication gear could crack military-grade encryption. At 55, he was still the best signals intelligence operator Wade had ever worked with. Nathan Kestrel Davis carried an upgraded medical kit, though his trauma surgery skills had kept the team alive through worse situations than this. His steady hands and calm demeanor under fire made him invaluable. Just like old times, Knox said, his voice gruff but warm. Though usually we had government backing. Government would just slow us down, Marcus replied, already examining the barn's structure with a demolitions expert's eye. Nice setup, Wade. Good sight lines, multiple escape routes. You weren't kidding about being ready. Wade spread a detailed map across his workbench. Cartel's been systematic, taking key properties and establishing distribution routes. They're not just running drugs, they're setting up a permanent operation. Tyler connected his laptop, bringing up intercepted communications. They're professional. Ex-military in their ranks, mostly former Mexican special forces, but they're arrogant, sloppy with their security. Their mistake. Nathan organized his medical supplies with practiced efficiency. How many are we dealing with? Main force is 30 men. Wade pointed to marked locations on the map. 2 separate groups. First team's the muscle. They handle intimidation, arson, accidents. Second team's their professionals, actual combat experience and proper tactical training. Knox examined the terrain through the barn door. Kill zones are perfect. Natural bottleneck here, high ground advantage. We can funnel them right where we want them. They'll come in force, Wade warned. No more pretense of being businessmen. They've got heavy weapons, armor, probably air support. Good, Marcus grinned, pulling out his demolition plans. Been a while since we had a proper fight. This isn't just about holding them off. Wade's voice turned serious. We end this permanently, not just here. We shut down their entire operation in the valley. The team sobered, recognizing the tone. It was the voice that had led them through impossible missions, that had brought them all home alive when the odds said otherwise. "Why'd you really come?" Wade asked, looking at each man. "You could have stayed retired, stayed safe." Nathan spoke first, his medical bag open beside him. "Remember Kosovo? That village we found after the militia went through? Some things you can't walk away from. Some fights need fighting. Cartel took my cousin's farm in Texas," Marcus added, checking detonator wires. "By the time anyone could do anything, it was too late. Not happening again. Not here." Knox just shrugged, but his eyes were hard. "You called. That's enough." Tyler looked up from his computer. "They're moving faster than we thought." Intercepted orders. Main force mobilizing for tonight. No warning, no negotiation. They're coming to take the farm and send a message. "Perfect," Wade smiled grimly. "Let's give them a message of our own." They spent the next hour fortifying key positions. Marcus rigged the main road with explosives that could flip an armored vehicle. Knox set up 3 different sniper nests, each covering a different approach. Tyler established a command center in Wade's basement, linking their communications and surveillance. "Remember Kandahar?" Knox asked as they worked. "That night raid that went sideways when the whole city lit up?" Marcus chuckled. "Never saw so much firepower in my life until Wade called an audible, turned their own defenses against them," Nathan added. "Still don't know how you knew that would work." "Simple," Wade said, checking ammunition stores. "People get predictable when they think they have the advantage. Cartel's the same way. They're used to civilians, used to easy victories. They won't be ready for what's coming." Tyler's voice crackled over their earpieces. "Movement at the Henderson place. They're assembling their force. Thermal imaging shows at least 20 vehicles." "They're not subtle anymore," Marcus observed, finishing his last explosive trap. "Coming, in like an army." "Good," Wade replied. "Means they're scared. Scared men make mistakes." The sun disappeared behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the valley. Wade stood with his team on the porch, watching the day fade. They were no longer young men, but age had brought something else: experience, patience, the kind of wisdom that only comes from decades of combat. "Knox, I want you in the North Tower. Best sight lines, and they won't expect anyone up there. Marcus, rig the barn for remote detonation. Make it look like a tempting target. Tyler, keep monitoring their comms. The moment they split their forces, we take advantage. Nathan, medical. Station in the basement, but be ready to move. This gets hot. We'll need you mobile." Each man nodded, understanding their roles without need for further explanation. This wasn't their first impossible mission. Just maybe their last. "One more thing," Wade added, his voice carrying the weight of command. "We're not just defending a farm. We're defending every family in this valley, every person these people would victimize. We do this right, we do it clean, and we do it permanent." As his team moved to their positions, Wade checked his weapons one final time. Rex sat beside him, alert and ready. In the distance, he could see dust clouds rising, the cartel's forces assembling. They thought they were preparing to raid an old man's farm. Instead, they were walking into a trap laid by some of the most experienced combat veterans alive. The radio crackled. Tyler's voice was tight. "First wave moving out. ETA 20 minutes. "Copy that," Wade replied, signaling to his team. "Remember, let them get comfortable. Let them think they have the advantage. Then we show them what real soldiers can do." The Montana sun disappeared behind the mountains, plunging the valley into darkness. But darkness had always been their ally. In the shadows, Wade Thompson wasn't a farmer anymore. He was Phantom again, the ghost that hunted other ghosts. And he was about to remind the cartel why that name had once struck fear into the hearts of far more dangerous men than them. First, blood moonlight silvered the Montana landscape as Wade watched the cartel. Convoy approached through his night vision scope. 20 vehicles moving in formation. Someone had trained them well. Too bad they'd forgotten the first rule of combat. Never fight on ground your enemy has prepared. "They're splitting up," Tyler's voice crackled through the comm. 3 teams, main force, coming up the central road. 2 flanking units trying to circle wide. Knox's voice was cold and professional from his sniper's nest. "Got eyes on the lead vehicle. Officer types in the back seat. Want me to take the shot?" "Negative," Wade replied. "Let them get comfortable. Spring the trap on my mark." The convoy's headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the road to Wade's farm. They moved with confidence, no attempt at stealth. Why bother? They thought they were hunting an old man. "Contact in 2 minutes," Marcus reported. "Charges are set. These boys are in for a surprise." Wade watched through his scope as the first vehicles reached his outer perimeter. The cartel's soldiers emerged with military precision, weapons ready, moving in practiced formations. Felix Rodriguez stepped out of an armored SUV, directing his men with hand signals.
"Spread out," Felix ordered in Spanish. "I want this place surrounded. No one gets out alive. They're deploying heavy weapons," Tyler warned. 50 cals on the trucks, RPGs in the second wave. Wade's voice remained calm. "Stick to the plan. Let them."
Commit. The cartel forces advanced steadily, moving past the first line of Wade's defenses without noticing them.
50 meters. 40. 30. They were almost in position. "Sir," one of Felix's men called out. "No movement in the house. Thermals showing nothing." Felix grabbed his radio. "Check the barn. He has to be here somewhere." 3 cartel soldiers approached.
The barn, weapons ready. Wade watched them through his scope, counting down in his head. This was the moment that would set the tone. "Now," Wade commanded. Marcus detonated his first series of charges. The ground erupted beneath the lead vehicles, sending them airborne in a shower of dirt and metal. Before the dust settled, Knox opened. Fire from his hidden position. 2 cartel soldiers dropped before they realized they were under attack. "What the hell?" Felix shouted, diving for cover. "Where's the fire coming from?" The night exploded into chaos. Wade's team had prepared kill zones throughout the property, and now they put them to use. Every time the cartel forces tried to rally, they found themselves caught in interlocking fields of fire. 3 trying to flank east, Knox reported calmly, his rifle cracking in the darkness. "Got 'em," Marcus responded with a series of explosions that drove the flanking team right into Nathan's line of fire. Wade moved like a ghost through the darkness, years of combat experience guiding every step. He caught 2 cartel soldiers by surprise, disarming one and using him as a shield against the other's fire. Both went down without a sound. "Who are these?"
"Guys!" a cartel soldier screamed over their radio. "This isn't right. They're too organized." Felix's voice cut through the chaos.
"They're professionals. Fall back to the vehicles. Reform defensive positions." "Too late," Wade whispered, triggering another set of charges. The explosions cut off their retreat, trapping the cartel forces in the kill zone. Knox's rifle spoke again.
"Technical at your 3 o'clock, Wade. Gunner down, but driver's still up." Wade rolled behind a tractor as 50 caliber rounds tore through the air where he'd been standing.
The Technical's driver was good, keeping the vehicle moving to avoid return fire, but he'd forgotten to watch his flanks. "Arcus," Wade called. "Time to use that toy you brought." A rocket streaked through the darkness, striking the Technical's engine. Block. The vehicle flipped, cartwheeling off the road in a ball of flame. "Damn, I missed that," Marcus laughed. "Just like Damascus. Stay focused," Wade ordered. They're regrouping. Felix had managed to rally his remaining men behind the wreckage of their vehicles. They had training. Wade gave them that. Even caught by surprise, they were adapting quickly. "Tyler, what's their strength?" Wade asked, moving to a new position. 18. Still combat effective. They're calling for reinforcements. Second wave is 30 minutes out. "They won't last that long," Knox stated flatly, his rifle ending another cartel soldier's attempt to flank their position. Wade watched Felix directing his men, noting their movements. They were trying to establish a base of fire, create space for their reinforcements to arrive. Standard military doctrine. Time to show them why standard responses get you killed. Marcus hit their rally point. Knox, watch for runners.
"Nathan, be ready. Some of them are about to need medical attention." Multiple explosions ripped through the cartel's position. Wade moved through the chaos like a wraith, his suppressed rifle ending threats before they could materialize. 2.
Decades of fighting had taught him the value of economy of motion, no wasted movements, no hesitation. "Contact front!" a cartel soldier screamed. "He's inside our perimeter." Wade's reply was swift and silent. 3 more went down before they could
turn to face him. Felix was shouting orders, trying to organize a defense against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. "Who are you?"
Felix screamed into the darkness. "What kind of farmer fights like this?" "The kind you shouldn't have threatened," Wade replied, his voice seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. The cartel's first assault was falling apart. What had started as a confident attack had turned into a desperate struggle for survival. Of the original 20 vehicles, 8 were burning. Of the 40 men Felix had brought, less than half were still fighting. "Pull back," Felix ordered. "Full retreat. Get back to the rally point." "I don't think so," Wade said calmly. Knox's sniper rifle cracked 3 times. The remaining vehicle's tires exploded, stranding them in the kill zone. "El Fantasma is going to kill us all," Felix muttered, realizing the trap they were in. "El Fantasma should have done his homework," Wade replied. Stepping out of the shadows behind Felix, should have asked why no one had ever successfully attacked this farm. Felix spun, raising his weapon, but he was too slow. Wade's strike was precise, efficient. The cartel leader dropped unconscious as his remaining men surrendered. "Area secure," Knox reported.
"No runners!" "Nathan, we've got wounded," Wade directed. "Stabilize them." "Tyler, what's the status on their reinforcements?" "Still inbound. 20 minutes out. Bigger force this time. Looks like they're bringing everything they have." Wade nodded, zip-tying Felix's unconscious form. "Good. Let them come."
First wave was just to remind us of what we can do. Next wave is where we show them who we really are. The team gathered briefly, checking weapons and reloading. The night was still young, and this was just the beginning. The real battle was still to come. But now they were warmed up, synchronized, ready. "Just like old times," Nathan said, treating a wounded cartel soldier. "Better," Wade replied, checking his ammunition. "This time we're fighting on our terms, on our ground, and this time we're finishing it for good." The storm breaks. The aftermath of the first battle left Wade's farm eerily quiet. Burning vehicles cast orange glows across the Montana night, while zip-tied cartel soldiers sat under Nathan's watchful eye. Felix was starting to stir, his face showing the dawning realization of just how badly they'd miscalculated. 16 prisoners, Nathan reported, finishing another field dressing. 3 critical, but stable. Rest are walking wounded. Wade knelt beside Felix, who glared up at him with a mixture of fear and defiance. "Now then," Wade said quietly, "let's talk about El Fantasma." "Go to hell," Felix spat, then switched to Spanish, cursing. "Your choice," Wade replied in perfect Spanish, shocking Felix into silence. "But your reinforcements are coming into my kill zone in less than 15 minutes. Would be a shame if they made the same mistakes you did." Tyler approached, laptop in hand, intercepted their communications. "El Fantasma is coming personally. He's mad, bringing in heavy weapons, professional contractors. This isn't going to be like the first wave." Felix laughed, a harsh sound. "You're all dead. El Fantasma doesn't leave witnesses. He'll burn this whole valley to get to you." "How many families have you terrorized?" Wade asked calmly. "How many farms have you taken? How many
accidents have you arranged?" The question caught Felix off guard.
For just a moment, his arrogance cracked, showing uncertainty beneath. "Knox," Wade called. "What do you see?" The sniper's voice crackled over their comms. "Multiple vehicles, different approach vectors. They're being smart this time. Thermal shows."
At least 40 troops, maybe more. Multiple heavy weapons teams. They're spreading out. Won't fall for the same trap twice, Marcus added. Wade turned back to Felix. Last chance. Help us end this with minimal bloodshed, or watch more of your men
die needlessly. You don't understand what you're dealing with, Felix said, his voice dropping. El Fantasma, oh, he's different. He enjoys the violence, the killing. You should run while you can. Already met men like him, Wade replied, standing. In places much worse than this, they're all the same in the end. Tyler's voice cut through the night, first elements reaching the outer perimeter. They're moving slower, checking for traps. Wade moved to his team, their faces illuminated by burning wreckage. They'll come from multiple directions this time, looking to overwhelm us with numbers and firepower. Knox, I want you mobile. Change. Positions after every few shots. Marcus, time for the secondary charges. Tyler, keep their comms scrambled. Nathan, keep the prisoners secure and alive. Remember, Wade added, they're expecting us to be tired, maybe wounded. They think the first fight cost us. Let them think that. Let them get overconfident. A new voice cut through their radio frequencies. Deep, commanding, speaking Spanish with a Colombian accent. El Fantasma himself directing his forces. Found their command channel, Tyler reported. Want me to jam it? No, Wade smiled grimly. Let them talk. Fear works better when they can share it. The teams split up, moving to predetermined positions. Years of working together meant they barely needed words. Each man knew his role, trusted the others to play theirs. Through his night vision, Wade watched the cartel's second wave advancing. Their movement was more professional now, leapfrogging between cover, maintaining proper intervals. El Fantasma had indeed brought his best. Contact in 2 minutes, Knox reported. Got eyes on their command element. El Fantasma's in the black Suburban. 3 vehicles back. Heavily guarded, Marcus, Wade directed. Give them something to think about. A series of explosions ripped through the night, not aimed at the cartel forces, but illuminating the battlefield. In the sudden light, they could see what they were walking into, defensive positions covering every approach, kill zones arranged. With mathematical precision, Mother of God, one of the cartel soldiers whispered over their open channel. The whole property's fortified. Keep advancing, El Fantasma's voice commanded. They're just trying to scare us. Press the attack. Wade's voice cut into their frequency, speaking calm Spanish. 43 minutes ago, I had twice your number in body bags or zip ties. That was when I was being gentle. Last warning, withdraw or meet the same fate. The cartel forces hesitated, their advance faltering. El Fantasma's response was immediate.
And brutal. He shot one of his own men who had stopped moving. The next one who shows cowardice dies by my hand, he roared. Forward! Kill them all! Well, Wade sighed, switching back to his team's channel. Can't say we didn't try. Marcus got something special for them? The demo expert replied, remember that trick we used in Fallujah? Do it. The night erupted in carefully orchestrated chaos.
Explosions chain-reacted across the battlefield, but these weren't meant to kill. They were precise, tactical, cutting off escape routes, separating units from each other, creating confusion and panic. They're spread too thin, Knox reported, his rifle cracking methodically, taking targets of opportunity. Wade moved through the darkness like a ghost, his movements calculated and precise. 2 cartel soldiers never saw him coming. One moment they were advancing, the next they were unconscious. Who are you people? El Fantasma's voice roared over the radio. Wade's response was cold and precise. You wanted this farm so badly? Welcome to it. Let me show you why they used to call me Phantom. The battle was about to enter its true phase. The cartel had brought their best, their most hardened killers. But they were about to learn the difference between killers and soldiers, between thugs with guns and men who had spent decades perfecting the art of warfare. In the distance, Phantasma was shouting orders, trying to regain control of a battlefield that was rapidly dissolving into chaos. But Wade had fought in places where chaos was a weapon, where darkness was an ally, and where fear could be turned against those who wielded it. Remember, Wade told his team, let them come to us, let them think they're winning, then show them why you don't threaten a Delta operator's home. The real battle was about to begin, and this time there would be no holding back. The turning tide Phantasma's assault hit like a thunderstorm. Automatic weapons fire lit up the night, heavy caliber rounds tearing through Wade's outer defenses. His forces moved with professional precision, using suppressing fire to cover their advance. This wasn't the sloppy attack of the first wave. This was a coordinated military operation. Multiple teams, 9 o'clock, Knox reported, his rifle responding with measured shots. They're using proper fire and maneuver. These aren't cartel thugs. Wade watched through his thermal scope as Phantasma's men established support positions. Former Mexican Special Forces, he confirmed, seeing how they moved. They'd done this before. A rocket streaked through the darkness, exploding against Wade's barn. The structure held, reinforced exactly for this scenario, but the message was clear. The cartel wasn't playing anymore. They're probing our defenses, Marcus called out. Looking for weak points. Want me to discourage them? Not yet, Wade replied. Let them commit more forces, Phantasma's voice boomed across the battlefield. You cannot hide forever. We will burn everything. You have. Wade's response was a precisely placed shot that shattered the cartel boss's spotlight. Darkness reclaimed the battlefield, darkness that Wade's team had prepared for, had trained in for decades. 3-man team trying to flank east, Knox reported. I see them. Marcus, give them something to think about, Wade responded. A series of charges detonated, not to kill, but to herd. The flanking team found themselves pushed right into Nathan's field of fire. His suppressed MP5 spoke 3 times. 3 bodies hit the ground. They're coordinating better now, Tyler warned. Multiple channels, encrypted comms. These guys are professionals. Wade moved like a shadow through his property, every step calculated. 2 cartel soldiers were setting up a machine gun nest. Good position, good fields of fire. They never saw him coming. The first went down to a throat strike, the second to a precision takedown he'd learned in advanced hand-to-hand combat. Command vehicle moving, Knox called.
Out.
Phantasma repositioning, strong security detail. Let him, Wade replied. He's looking for a pattern. Let's give him one. The battle shifted into a new phase. Phantasma's men were good. They'd clearly fought in urban combat before, but Wade's team had written the book on this kind of warfare. Every time the cartel forces thought they'd found an advantage, it turned into a trap. RPG team, you're 2 o'clock, Tyler shouted. Wade rolled behind cover as rockets screamed overhead. The explosions were massive, professional-grade weapons. These weren't street thugs with black market gear. This was military hardware. Knox, priority target. Take out those RPGs. Bit busy, the sniper grunted. Got 3 teams trying to flank my position. Marcus, on it. More explosions lit up the night. The RPG team disappeared in a controlled blast that sent their weapons flying but left them alive. Precision demolitions work that only decades of experience could achieve. Phantasma was getting frustrated. His men were dying or being captured, yet they couldn't seem to get a solid fix on their opponents. Every advance met resistance from unexpected angles. Every tactical advantage evaporated before they could exploit it. "Push forward," he commanded. "There are only 5 men. We have the numbers." "Numbers don't mean much against ghosts." Wade's voice cut through their command channel. "How many men are you willing to lose tonight?" A burst of automatic fire answered him. Wade didn't flinch. He'd already moved from that position, anticipating the response. 2 more Cartel soldiers went down to precise shots from his suppressed rifle. "West sector's getting heavy," Nathan reported. "They're making a serious push." "That's their feint," Wade replied. "Knox, watch the east. That's where their real attack's coming." Sure enough, while one team pushed aggressively from the west, their best operators were moving quietly through the eastern approach. It was a solid tactic, one that would have worked against most opponents. "Count 12, Knox said quietly. "Elite team, moving like professionals. These are their best." "Good," Wade replied. "Marcus, Nathan, shift east. Knox, hold your fire until my mark. Let's show them what real professionals can do." The elite Cartel team moved with impressive skill, using every bit of cover, maintaining perfect spacing. They were halfway to their objective when Wade sprung his trap. Marcus's charges illuminated the night, not damaging, but disorienting. Before the Cartel operators could adjust their night vision, Knox opened fire from his elevated position. Every shot found its mark, not killing, but disabling, taking out knees and shoulders with surgical precision. "Clean them up," Wade ordered. Nathan moved in with swift efficiency, securing the wounded operators. El Fantasma's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. "Who are you people? You really should have done your research," Wade replied calmly. Asked around about who owned this farm, about why no one had ever successfully attacked it. A new sound cut through the night, helicopter rotors. "Boss, they're bringing in air support," Tyler warned. "Right on schedule," Wade smiled. "Marcus? Oh yeah, got something special for choppers. Just say when." The helicopter swept in low, its spotlight cutting through the darkness. The door gunner opened up with a minigun, stitching a line of destruction across Wade's property. But the team had prepared for this too. "Now," Wade commanded. Marcus triggered a specialized charge, not an explosion, but a massive flashbang designed specifically for aircraft. The helicopter pilot, momentarily blinded, yanked the stick back. The sudden move threw off the gunner's aim. Knox's sniper rifle cracked once. The spotlight exploded, plunging the helicopter back into darkness. 2 more precise shots disabled the minigun. "You can land safely," Wade broadcast to the pilot, "or you can crash. Your choice." The helicopter retreated, its pilot choosing wisdom over valor. On the ground, El Fantasma was shouting orders with increasing desperation. His elite team was down, his air support driven off, and his men were losing cohesion. "How many more men are you willing to sacrifice?" Wade asked over their channel. "How many bodies before you realize you've made a mistake?" The response was immediate. A massive barrage of automatic weapons fire. But Wade had already moved, ghosting through the darkness to a new position. 20 years ago, they'd called him Phantom because he could appear anywhere, strike without warning, vanish before the enemy could respond. Tonight, he was reminding them why. El Fantasma's voice cut through the chaos with cold fury. "Burn everything. Burn it all to the ground." His men deployed incendiary weapons, trying to deny Wade's team their carefully prepared positions. The night lit up with phosphorus and thermite, turning the battlefield into a hellscape of fire and smoke. "They're getting desperate," Knox observed, relocating as flames consumed his previous sniper nest. "Making mistakes." "Careful, Wade warned. Desperate men are unpredictable. Tyler, what are you seeing? They're splitting into 3 groups, main force. Still pushing center, but they're deploying their best units wide, trying to flank through the burning zones. A massive explosion rocked the farmhouse as the cartel deployed satchel charges against the outer walls. The reinforced structure held, but the message was clear. They were done probing and ready to destroy everything. "Sir," Nathan called out, "we've got wounded to evacuate. These fires are getting too close to the holding area." Wade processed the tactical situation in seconds. "Knox, cover the east approach. Marcus, buy us some time. Everyone else, fall back to position 3. We're not losing anyone tonight." Marcus's voice was grim. "Got something special saved for this? Might want to cover your eyes. Multiple explosions chained across the property, but these were different. Magnesium bright, creating walls of light that temporarily blinded anyone looking in their direction. In the confusion, Wade's team executed a fighting withdrawal, moving their prisoners and wounded to a fortified storm cellar they'd prepared for exactly this scenario. "They're pushing hard on the west side," Knox reported, his rifle cracking steadily. "These guys are different. Cartel's elite death squad. I recognize their tactics from the briefings. Los Fantasmas," Wade confirmed. El Fantasma's personal kill team, ex-Mexican special forces who went rogue. "They're good." "Not good enough," Knox replied, punctuating his words with precise shots. The death squad moved with fluid grace, using the fires as cover. They were well equipped. Thermal imaging, advanced body armor, military-grade weapons. These weren't cartel thugs, these were professional killers. "Contact!" Tyler shouted. 3 death squad members had breached the inner perimeter, moving with lethal precision toward the command center. Wade moved to intercept, but they had him pinned with well-coordinated fire. "Little help here," Wade called out, surprisingly calm, despite the bullets cutting through the air around him. "Working on it," Marcus replied. The ground erupted beneath the death squad, not with explosives, but with compressed air and dirt. A non-lethal but disorienting blast that broke their formation. Wade capitalized instantly, closing the distance. The fight was brief but brutal. The death squad members were excellent shots, but Wade had spent decades mastering close-quarter combat. The first went down to a throat strike and knife disarm combination. The second managed to land a solid hit before Wade's elbow strike found the sweet spot behind his ear. The third proved tougher, clearly their hand-to-hand specialist. "Impressive," the man said in accented English, squaring up with the fighters.
"Stance. But you're still just an old man." Wade's response was a lightning-fast combination that ended with the specialist unconscious on the ground. "Age and treachery, kid. We got a problem," Tyler cut in. "They're bringing up something big. Thermals. Showing. Oh hell, they've got a technical with a heavy auto cannon. Final gambit, Knox. Can you get a shot?" Wade asked, watching the auto cannon tear through his defenses. "Negative? They've got it too well protected." "Need a new angle." Wade thought fast. The cannon was devastating, but it had weaknesses. "Marcus, remember Serbia? That arms depot with the tanks? Yeah, that was... Oh, I like where this is going. Can you do it? Just like old times, boss. Give me 2 minutes.
El Fantasma's voice boomed across their comms. "You see, this is what happens to those who resist. We will reduce this place to ash." The autocannon continued its devastating barrage, but Wade had fought against worse. "Tyler, patch me into their frequency channels open." Wade's voice was cold and professional. "That's an impressive gun, Russian-made, probably stolen from a military depot. Very effective against buildings, not so great against what's coming. You're finished," El Fantasma shouted. "Your defenses are breaking. Look to your left." The cartel boss did, just in time to see Marcus's surprise. The old barn, which they thought was just burning, suddenly revealed its secret. The entire structure had been rigged as a massive directional blast, focusing its force right at the technical. The explosion wasn't meant to destroy. That would have been too dangerous. Instead, it created a massive pressure wave that overturned the vehicle, rendering the cannon useless and sending El Fantasma's men scrambling for cover. "That was our excuse to keep things civil," Wade announced. "Push any harder and we stop being nice. Kill them all," El Fantasma screamed. But there was an edge of fear in his voice now. His men were dying or surrendering, his best units were down, and his heavy weapons were being systematically eliminated. "Boss," Nathan called out, "got movement in the tree line. Looks like they're bringing up their reserve force." "Good," Wade replied. "About time they committed everything. Knox, you know what to do." The sniper's rifle began its deadly work, not killing, but methodically disabling vehicles, weapons, and equipment. Each shot was calculated to reduce the cartel's options, to force them into predictable responses. "They're pulling back," Tyler reported, "regrouping around their command vehicle." Wade checked his ammunition, noting the fires still burning across his property. The farm was damaged but not destroyed. His team was tired but not beaten. And El Fantasma had just made his biggest mistake, consolidating his forces into one location. "All units," Wade commanded, "prepare for final phase. Remember, we're not just defending anymore. Time to show them why you don't bring a cartel to a Delta Force fight." The night was about to get much worse for El Fantasma and his men. They thought they were winning by forcing Wade's team to fall back. Instead, they were walking right into the trap he'd been setting since the beginning. Wade watched El Fantasma's forces consolidate around their command vehicle, exactly where he wanted them. The cartel boss thought he was being smart, concentrating his remaining strength. Instead, he'd just put all his assets in one kill zone. "All units, execute Phoenix Protocol," Wade commanded. His team's acknowledgements came in quick succession. They'd drilled this scenario countless times in their active duty days. "Stand by for some fireworks," Marcus announced. "Those charges we didn't use earlier, they're about to earn their keep." Knox's voice was cold and professional. "Target area mapped. I've got clean shots on their command and control elements. Remember," Wade reminded them, "we want survivors. They need to carry our message back." The counterattack began with surgical precision. Marcus's charges detonated in sequence, not to kill, but to isolate. Walls of fire and smoke cut off escape routes, channeling the cartel forces exactly where Wade wanted them. "What are they doing?" El Fantasma demanded, watching his carefully positioned men suddenly trapped in overlapping fields of fire. "Teaching you about real combat," Wade replied over their channel. "Pay attention. This is how professionals work." Knox's rifle spoke first, taking out their communications array with 3 precise shots. Next went their vehicle engines, each disabled with methodical efficiency. The cartel forces were now deaf, blind, and immobile. "You think this changes anything?" El Fantasma shouted, but his voice carried an edge of panic. "I have more men, more resources." "Not anymore," Wade replied, as Tyler's electronic warfare suite kicked in, flooding their frequencies with static. "Right now, your reinforcements are being intercepted by state police. Amazing what happens when someone provides actionable intelligence." About cartel movements, the cartel boss's response was predictable, ordering his men to attack in all directions. But Wade's team had trained for exactly this scenario. They moved like ghosts through the smoke and chaos, appearing and disappearing. "At will. Contact front." A cartel soldier screamed, firing at shadows. Wade was already gone, his response precise and devastating. 3 more went down before they realized where he was. and by then he'd moved again. "They're not human," another soldier cried out in Spanish. "They're everywhere. Keep fighting," El Fantasma commanded, but his authority was crumbling. His men were experienced soldiers, but they'd never faced anything like this. An enemy that seemed to materialize from nowhere, strike without warning, and vanish before they could respond. "Sir," Nathan's voice crackled over the comm, "they're breaking formation, east sector starting to run." "Heard them," Wade ordered. "Knox, discourage any heroes." The sniper rifle cracked methodically, rounds impacting at the feet of anyone trying to flee. The message was clear. "Stay put or get worse. You're trapped in here with us," Wade broadcast to the cartel forces, "but we're not trapped in here with you. We are the trap." Marcus's next series of charges demonstrated this perfectly. Careful. Detonations split the cartel's remaining forces into isolated pockets, each one cut off from support and exposed to precise fire from multiple angles. "Western Group is surrendering," Tyler reported.
Eastern Group is, movement by the command vehicle. El Fantasma is making a break for it. Let him run, Wade replied, right to where we want him. The cartel boss had grabbed 2 of his best remaining men, using the chaos to slip away from the main fight.
He moved well. Clearly he hadn't always been just a commander, but Wade had planned for this too. El Fantasma's escape route led him straight into a prepared position. One moment he was running, the next he was face to face with Wade himself. "Impressive operation you had here," Wade said conversationally, his rifle trained center mass. "Good men, good equipment, solid tactics, but you made one critical mistake."
"And what's that?" El Fantasma snarled, his hand inching toward a concealed weapon. "You thought fear only worked one way." Wade's voice carried decades of combat experience. "You're used to being the one people fear. Tonight, you learn what real fear
feels like." The cartel boss moved fast, drawing his pistol in a practiced motion. But Wade was faster. One precise shot knocked the weapon away, another dropped El Fantasma's remaining guards. "You know what the difference is between your men and mine?" Wade asked, advancing as El Fantasma scrambled backward. "Training, experience, but most importantly, purpose. You fight for money. We fought for something more. Around them, the battle was ending. Most of the cartel forces had surrendered, realizing the futility of their position. Those still fighting were being systematically isolated and neutralized. Do you know why they
called me Phantom?" Wade asked, his voice carrying across the battlefield. "Not because I was hard to find."
"Because by the time you did find me, it was already too late." El Fantasma made his final mistake, reaching for a backup weapon. Wade's response was instantaneous and precise. The cartel boss collapsed, clutching his shoulder, his face registering shock at how quickly it had happened. "Gather the survivors," Wade commanded his team. "I want them to hear this clearly." As his team rounded up the remaining cartel forces, Wade stood before them, his presence commanding absolute attention. These weren't just defeated soldiers, they were witnesses to something they'd never seen before. "You're alive because we chose precision over power," Wade announced. "You'll remain alive as long as you remember this lesson. This valley is protected.
Not by cops, not by guns, but by something far more dangerous.
Men who've spent their lives learning how to fight smarter, not harder." Knox's voice came over the comm. "Police forces approaching from the south, 10 minutes out." "Perfect timing," Wade replied. He turned back to the captured cartel forces. "You have a choice now. Stay and face American justice, or run back to your bosses. Either way, spread the word. The next cartel that tries to take this valley won't get the gentle treatment you got tonight." El Fantasma, still clutching his wounded shoulder, looked up at Wade with a mixture of fear and respect. Who are you really? Wade smiled grimly. Just a farmer protecting his land, but before that I was the ghost that haunted better men than you. Remember that the next time someone suggests moving into this territory. As police lights began to color the horizon, Wade's team prepared to
fade away.
They'd done what they came to do, not just defend a farm, but send a message that would echo through cartel ranks for years to come. Dawn of Victory Dawn was breaking over the Montana mountains, revealing the full extent of the night's battle. Burning vehicles dotted Wade's property, their smoke mixing with the morning mist. The 37 captured cartel members sat zip-tied in groups, watched over by Nathan, while Marcus and Knox secured the perimeter. The fight was over, but the real work was just beginning. State Police ETA 3 minutes, Tyler reported from his command post. FBI about 20 minutes behind them. They're very interested in our guests. Wade surveyed his farm, calculating damages with a tactical eye. The barn was scorched but standing, its reinforced structure having done its job. The house had taken heavy fire but remained structurally sound. His defensive positions, carefully built over years, had proven their worth. "Sir," Nathan called out, kneeling beside El Fantasma, "he's stabilized, but he'll need a hospital eventually." The cartel boss looked up at Wade, his arrogance replaced by something closer to respect. "You could have killed us all." "Wasn't the point," Wade replied, checking the zip ties. "Dead men don't carry messages. You're going to tell every cartel from here to Columbia what happened tonight." Police sirens echoed through the valley. Wade turned to his team. "Knox, Marcus, fade back. No need to complicate things with extra questions. Nathan, you're our medic handling prisoners. Tyler, wipe everything sensitive. I'll handle the locals." Sheriff Cooper's convoy arrived first, 4 patrol cars and 2 tactical units. The sheriff stepped out, his face a mixture of shock and awe as he surveyed the battlefield. "Jesus Christ, Wade," Cooper breathed. "When we got reports of explosions and gunfire, what happened here?" "Had some uninvited guests," Wade replied calmly. "They didn't take rejection well." Cooper walked the perimeter, taking in the disabled vehicles, the captured cartel members, the precision, damage to specific targets. This wasn't just a firefight. This was something else. They came looking for an easy target, Wade explained. "Found something else instead." "Your FBI friends will be interested in this bunch," Cooper noted, examining ID cards and weapons. "They're part of the group that's been terrorizing the valley, the ones we couldn't touch because we could never prove anything." "Check the barn," Wade suggested. "Found some interesting paperwork. Might help with your other investigations." Tyler had planted the intelligence carefully, documents linking the cartel to local crimes, property seizures, and accidents that had plagued the valley. Enough evidence to unravel their entire operation. El Fantasma watched the law enforcement activity with cold eyes. "This changes nothing. The cartel will do exactly what we tell them," Wade cut him off, "because if they don't, next time we won't be so gentle. Imagine what we could do if we actually wanted to kill people." FBI vehicles began arriving, serious-looking agents in tactical gear, evidence response teams, and senior investigators. Wade noted their approach patterns, their weapon handling. These weren't desk jockeys. They'd sent their A-team. Mr. Thompson, a female agent, approached, her badge identifying her as Special Agent Sarah Martinez. "We're going to need a statement about what happened here." "Of course," Wade replied, "though it's pretty simple. They came to take my farm. I defended my property." Martinez's eyes swept the battlefield with military precision. Multiple disabled vehicles, Wounded suspects showing consistent non-lethal injury patterns and enough evidence to take down their entire regional operation. That's quite a night's work for one farmer. Grew up hunting, Wade shrugged. Got lucky. Lucky? Martinez raised an eyebrow. We've been building a case against these people for months. Couldn't get near them. Then in one night, you not only defeat their entire assault force, but hand us actionable intelligence on a silver platter. Sometimes things just work out. The agent clearly didn't buy it, but she was professional enough not to push. We'll need to process the scene. Forensics, photographs, witness statements, you understand. Take all the time you need, Wade replied. Just watch the north field. Got some unstable ground there after all the excitement. Martinez nodded, recognizing the warning for what it was. Some evidence wouldn't be making it into official reports. Some questions were better left unasked. As law enforcement processed the scene, Wade's hidden team watched from concealed positions. They'd fought in places that didn't exist, conducted operations that would never see paperwork. This was no different. Quite.
A mess you've made, Sheriff Cooper said, rejoining Wade. But I've got to ask, you sure this is the end of it? Wade watched El Fantasma being loaded into an ambulance, surrounded by FBI agents.
They're businessmen, Sheriff. Tonight showed them that pushing into this valley is bad business, very bad business, and if they're slow learners, then they'll find out why some old soldiers never really retire. Nathan approached with a medical kit, maintaining his cover as a local paramedic. Property's clear, Mr. Thompson. No unexpected surprises for the evidence teams. Wade nodded, watching the sun climb higher over his damaged but undefeated farm. The cartel had brought their best: former special forces, professional killers, military hardware. They'd had every advantage in numbers and firepower, but they'd learned the hard way that some battles aren't won by strength alone. You know, Cooper mused, watching his deputies photograph disabled vehicles. Folks in town always wondered about you. Quiet farmer who kept to himself, but something about you seemed different. Just a man protecting his home, Wade replied. But they both knew it was more than that. This night had sent a message that would echo through criminal organizations across the continent. Some lines you don't cross, some people you don't threaten. By late afternoon, the law enforcement presence had dwindled to a handful of FBI evidence teams. Wade's farm bore the scars of battle, scorched earth, bullet holes, and debris scattered across his land. But to his experienced eye, the damage told a different story, one of precision over power, of skill over brutality. As the last FBI vehicle disappeared down his drive, Wade stood on his porch, sipping coffee. Tyler emerged from the tree line, looking satisfied. Cleaned up the last of the special surprises, he reported. Ground's clear for normal farming again, though you might want to wait on planting anything in the south field. Got a few spots that need to settle. Knox and Marcus joined them, their hidden positions finally abandoned. Final casualty report, Nathan said, arriving with his medical kit. 37 cartel members captured, all with non-lethal injuries. Precise work, even by our standards. They came expecting to fight farmers, Wade observed. Found out what it means to face professionals instead. Sarah Bennett's truck appeared on the road, approaching cautiously. Wade nodded to his team, time to maintain appearances. They faded back into their roles as visiting friends helping with repairs. "Wade!" Sarah called out, jumping from her truck. "The whole town's talking about what happened. They're saying you fought off the entire cartel by yourself." Wade smiled slightly. "Stories get exaggerated, just defended my property, that's all." "Don't give me that." Sarah's eyes were sharp. "I heard the explosions, the gunfire. My brother's on the state police tactical team. He said this was military-grade resistance, professional work." "Sometimes farmers know more than people expect," Wade replied carefully. Inside the farmhouse, Sarah took in the bullet holes in the walls, the precise pattern of damage, the cartels pulling out, not just here, they're abandoning properties all across the valley, running scared. Good business decision on their part. This wasn't just about your farm, was it? Sarah asked. This was about the whole valley. Wade considered his response. Let's just say some people needed to learn that not all territories are worth taking. As Sarah left, Wade's team regrouped in the barn. The time had come for decisions about the future. Property will need rebuilding, Marcus noted, examining blast. Damage could help with that. Got some ideas for improvements. Cartels running, Tyler added, but they might not run forever. Might be worth maintaining a presence here. Been thinking about retiring anyway, Knox said, cleaning his rifle methodically. Montana's got good shooting ranges. Could use a clinic in the area, Nathan mused. Local doctors getting old. Wade looked at his team, men who'd fought beside him, across the world, who'd come running at his call without hesitation. You don't have to do this, way I see it, Knox replied. We spent our lives fighting in other people's countries. Maybe it's time we defended something closer to home. The decision was made without further discussion. The valley had gained more than just its freedom from the cartel. It had gained guardians with very particular skills. Wade walked his property one last time as the sun set. The damage would be repaired, the signs of battle would fade. But something fundamental had changed. The valley had been marked, not as an easy target, but as a place where shadows fought back, where threats were met with precision and skill instead of brute force. Quite a change from retirement, Nathan observed, joining him. Who says it has to change? Wade replied. Farm still needs running, land still needs tending. We just might have some extra activities on the side. The team shared a knowing look. They'd spent their lives in the shadows, fighting battles most would never know about. Now they had a chance to use those skills for something more personal. Protecting a home, a community, a way of life. Rex trotted up, alert as ever. The German shepherd had proven his worth during the battle, warning of flanking movements and keeping prisoners in line. Now he stood ready, as if knowing this wasn't the end, but a new beginning. The Montana sunset painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, the same colors it had shown 24 hours ago when the cartel had thought they were attacking a simple farmer. They'd learned their lesson the hard way. Some wolves don't need to bare their teeth to be deadly. Some warriors don't need uniforms to be lethal. And some valleys are protected by more than just mountains. As darkness fell over the Montana mountains, Wade Thompson stood guard over his land. The cartel had finally learned why this territory was impregnable, not because it was defended by soldiers, but because it was protected by something far more powerful, men who had learned to turn their skills towards something worth protecting. The valley was safe. The message had been sent. And somewhere in the darkness, the ghosts of Delta Force continued their eternal watch. The war was over. The Guardians remained. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and become a part of our Everyday Life Stories community. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. We love hearing from our amazing viewers around the world.